What we're looking at now is creating written content. And your written content is obviously very visible across all the different pages of your course. So the home page, the contact us page, the membership dashboard page, the actual back end of the course where people can actually go in and learn. But what we don't realize is the written content is also what we download if you are sending links via Google Drive. That is all part of the written content. And so you need to, first of all, just step back and think, what is the tone that you're wanting to have your course in? Who is it addressed to? So let's start at the very beginning and look at the introduction. Your content needs to be divided into very logical or easy to understand different sections. I have got 5 different parts to this course. First part is about selecting your topic and template. The second part, creating your content. Third part, preferred platform. Fourth part, sites and shop. Fifth part, fortune funnels. And everything else falls within those different sections. Each section is going to have different units in it. Now, what I always do is I like to teach via video because I believe people learn visually as well as auditory, and they want to do a little application. And I find that video allows me to actually do this. So I do video as my main source of content, but I still have to write down what I'm going to be talking about before, even if it's just bullet points. And I need to have a certain tone. So my suggestion is, first of all, to work out what your language type or tone is going to be. You don't want to have lofty language and be talking way above what your learners are understanding. It just looks like you're being an idiot because you're trying to appear smarter than the people who you're actually teaching, the people who have paid to learn from you. So it's not a good idea. Let's start first with understanding the end goal. What is the end goal of your course? As soon as you have your end goal worked out, you will be able to see the things that work along the way. So what is the end goal? Mine is that you will all have an online course up and running. How do I get you there? Well, that's what makes me look at the different sections, and it makes me have to work out what would I need if I were you in order to create the course. The end goal is the fundamental reason why you created the course in the first place. You also need to write with your customers in mind. Now, people often talk about the customer avatar. Your customer avatar is basically your ideal customer, and it's often you 10 years ago. So you're writing to the person who you wish had spoken to you 10 years ago about what you are teaching. So that's what you are wanting to create your course. So what is your course customer? Who is your avatar? Who is your who? Let's have a look. I remember when I was living in London, I went in for marketing research, and it was at a long time ago, when Yahoo and Google were going head to head. And they were wanting to find out, before we even went to the actual focus group, they asked us which one we used, Google or Yahoo. And at that time, a lot of people were using Yahoo. I happened to be using Google. So they chose me as to be on the Google side, and they chose other people on the Yahoo side. And we sat there and spoke. And I'll never forget one of the things they asked us to do. They said, if there was a world, another world, or say a planet, and Yahoo is on that planet, what does it look like? And on another planet, there is Google. What does it look like? And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, Yahoo is just shouting at me. Everything's just shouting. Whereas Google is like clean and neat. And that's how I saw everything. So you need to know how your customer sees things. Who is your ideal customer? I would not have been Yahoo's ideal customer. I would have been Google's ideal customer. And they need to know about me then in that focus group. They needed to know how old I was, what my demographic was, where I lived, how many people I lived with, that sort of thing, where I spent my time. Now, in that time, I don't actually think Facebook was around. I think it had just started, but not everyone was onto the actual platform yet. So Yahoo and Google were looking to see who their ideal customers were and what they liked. So who is your ideal customer? Where do they spend all their time physically? Do they go to sports clubs? Do they go to parents groups? Do they have young kids? Do they have toddlers? Do they have kids who have just left school? What stage of life are they in? Where do they spend their time when they're not at that sports club? Are they religious? Do they go to a mosque? Do they go to a shul? Do they go to a church? Where do they spend their time socially? Where do they spend their time on social media? Do they consume all the information on YouTube? Do they spend all their time on Facebook? What Facebook groups could they possibly be following? Do they spend their time on Instagram? Generally, under 34 spends more time on Instagram than the older generation who are over 34. There's TikTok. There are so many different platforms. Which are the apps that they've got on their phone? Do they spend more time on their phone, or do they spend more time on the web interface? Do they go to their computer? Well, most of the time, we actually know that people actually consume data on their phone more than on going onto the actual computer. So you need to know where your customer is, because when you're creating your course, you're wanting to go to that customer and be where they are, not get your customer to come to you. That's pointless. You have to go and be where they are. When you think about advertising later, if you're going to do paid advertising, you need to know where your customer spends their time. The better you know your customer, the more you're going to sell your course to the right people. Let's look at some other things. What are they good at? What are their weaknesses? What was their highest level at school or education? Did they go to university? Did they have a postgrad? Have they traveled the world? Are they more homebodies? Are they single, married, divorced? How many computers do they have? What type of computers do they have? Do they enjoy following, for example, if you are into eating, do they enjoy following all YouTube channels about eating? Or do they enjoy following all Facebook groups about eating? Do they own a house? Do they rent a house? Do they live in a flat? Where do they live? Are they currently employees or business owners? And if they aren't where they want to be, for example, maybe you are currently employed and you want to be your own business owner, and that's why you're doing this course, where are they now and where do they want to be, and how can you provide that transformation? Why do they want to buy your course from you? What are you offering them? What is the benefit of your course for them? What motivates them? Are they motivated by love, or they're motivated by pain? Everyone's either motivated towards something that they want or away from something they don't want. I'll give an example. I have never watched so many videos on how to help your back, because I've had a back issue with a couple of discs slipping, and the nerve going down the leg has been so painful that I've actually done amazing things that I would never have done, and read amazing things and watched things to try and help myself just to get out of that pain. So are you providing your course that pushes them towards something that they love, or that pulls them away from something that they hate? Maybe they love creating a course about or talking about gym, for example. So they will do your course about how to strengthen their bodies. But another way would be is if they hate, for example, being fat. They're so uncomfortable with it that they are now doing your course. One is because they love it, and one is because they're trying to get away from something that they don't like. So what I want you to do now is create your customer avatar. Who is your ideal customer who's going to buy your course from you? What are the benefits that your course is going to give them? Why you? And I always think it's good to actually draw your avatar. I did an avatar before, which I might just show and I might not. I haven't decided yet. But basically it was for a very different customer. And I have refined things down quite a lot to be able to provide exactly what I want to give people, because I know that that's what I wanted. I also ages ago I actually wrote a book called Practical Keys to Unlock Your Property Journey. And it was to help people in South Africa who were told by all of these gurus to just leave your job and, invest money in property and you'll be fine. You'll earn passive income immediately. And I thought, that's rubbish, man. You won't. Rather just buy slowly on the side, and then you can start building up your property portfolio. And I got so frustrated that I actually ended up writing a book about it to help people, because I thought these other people are not telling the truth, and rather just give them a step-by-step way in order to get a property. So that's what I did. My customer avatar in that scenario was me 10 years before. Okay, so we're looking at written content, and if you look at the site here, you will see we have written content dispersed with images and videos. That's because too much information is like, whoa, in your face. It's very important to have headings and to have paragraphs, to have bullet points, to have lists, because it breaks up the information, and it also helps with your SEO. What I always say as a general rule of thumb is if you're writing a paragraph, don't write it so long. Write a short paragraph that anyone who's read that paragraph could write down in 3 words what that paragraph is about, the gist of the paragraph. What we're going to look at now is how we can put our written text on the platform. So I'm going to show you how to add your written text once you've already written it on your piece of paper or on Word document or something, and how you're going to transfer it and put it onto your site. Then I'm going to show you how you can take your document or your checklist and upload it onto Google Drive and share a link so that people can download any documents that you want to provide for them. So here we are on the Selah Academy online course platform. And the first thing you will notice is that there are titles and then little paragraphs dispersed across the home page. Title, paragraph, and these have been broken up by images. This is because people don't really want to read information anymore. They get bored quite quickly. Here, these are different interviews by founders and CEOs of predominantly technology businesses. I've got a tiny bit of writing, and then I have the actual interview that they can watch over here. So if I go to the structure that we spoke about, there's the introduction. So if someone comes and lands onto this page and they choose a course that they like, they will look at grab the course. And here we have the introduction to the course. By introduction, I mean there is again the heading, there is the paragraph, and I have bullet points of what's going to be covered. And here I have a video introduction. So this is going to tell a person who might want to join the course what the course is about. This is my introduction on this page. It's almost like each page has its own introduction. When I'm writing with my customer and my end goal in mind, the end goal is that people will come onto the site, look at joining a course creating community called Selah Academy. It's the how to hub, learning through our laughter. The idea is that we're all just becoming a part of this community who helps each other and works together. So I'm writing words like the how to hub. I have a semi-professional image over here, and I think that the course is quite clean. I've used a couple of stock images over here, and I'm wanting to attract a customer who wants to have a course exactly like this. The end goal of joining the Selah Academy is that a business owner will be able to create their own online course by coming onto this academy. If I go into the actual membership area, so say I have now signed up with a course, here you can see that I have a heading, I have a summary, and I have the end goal after each part in the series. So in part 1, it's all about selecting your course topic and choosing your templates. And by the end of part 1, you should have your topic, template, logo, colors, and images chosen for your course. That is the end goal. I'm directing each of my learners and each of my students to come here, and by the end of watching all of these videos, they should be able to complete that goal. Now, when I'm considering my customers, I think this is quite a beautiful site. I'm wanting people who are wanting to take their creation of their course quite seriously. And I want them to be able to join in conversations on our Facebook, to subscribe to the YouTube channel. My customer is a very specific customer. It is not someone who's necessarily new to the internet. It's someone who's quite affluent in Zoom, who knows about social media platforms, who's comfortable with communicating on platforms and the like. So if I look at the written content on, for example, this first part of this course, the actual written content is part of the video. In other words, I've had to write a bit of a script or bullet point some ideas down before I actually talk on each video. That is part of the written content, and that's the part we don't actually see. There is also the written content that is more obviously written content, and that is when, for example, you're downloading a checklist or you're downloading the notes. Now I'm going to show you how to do this over here. So the idea is that once someone has finished this structure in their content, they can come over here and they can download the checklist themselves over here, or they can download the notes. Okay, I quite like having notes because I think if you're going to do the exact same thing as me, you may as well use my notes and just replicate them but put your information in. So you can actually embed your PDFs within this course platform, within the Selah course platform. But I actually prefer adding all my information to my Google Drive. So how do I go about doing that? Well, I would go onto my Google platform. You need to have a Gmail address. And then I select Drive. And here's where I have all my information. I have the Selah Academy, so I'm going to add all my Selah Academy notes and checklists here. I'm going to add my customer avatar. So how I do this is I simply just drag it off my desktop and I drop it in, your ideal customer. So this is what we've looked at when we're talking about the ideal customer. Now I'm going to need a specific link for this. So if I click on it, if I want people to be able to download their customer avatar, I have to make sure that it is shareable. At the moment, it's only restricted. I won't be able to add this actual link onto my course. I need to change it so that anyone who's got the link can actually view it. So I need to make sure it's saved like that. Anyone with this link, I don't want them to be able to edit it or comment. So I'm going to click that off. I'm leaving it as viewer. I'm copying that link and I select done. So now, if I go onto the back end of my Selah Academy platform, okay, and I'm wanting to add a PDF here within the create written content about identifying your ideal customer and questions to ask yourself, I would have got this button here. So I click it and I click edit link. And here, I'm going to call it an external link and I'm going to call it your ideal customer. And here, I'm going to add in that Google Drive link that I just had from here. I want this to be in a new tab and I click select. Okay, so if I save my changes here and then if I preview it, what that looks like is when they scroll over your ideal customer, it will take them straight into your ideal customer and things to answer for you to understand who your ideal customer is. So when we're talking about written content, again, this is the written content here. And even though you can actually upload PDFs to this Selah Services platform, it's actually better to store it externally, because if you want to update any of this anytime, then you can simply go here, update it, and then you can put the URL in here and your customers will be able to get the updated version. Okay, so the resources here that are required, you can even have it done for your templates. The resources I've suggested are the YouTube channel. I've got resources over here that people can download and they can join the Facebook group if they have joined this paid community. When we're looking at application, at the end of every single video, there are application questions. So if I click on this, at the end of each video, there are different steps for each of the learners to do in order to apply what they've just learned. I also think it's very important that you always write next steps or resources. Thank you so much for watching this session. I know it was quite a lot of information, but I want to look at application questions here for you. So like I said, you should always get people to do something. Well, obviously you're going to be writing out your content now, and you are going to be creating your resources and your checklists if you're giving that to people. But I also want you to know that you should always have little application questions that people can apply what they've just learned to their own course or to their own life. The questions for you are, what is the end result for your learners or your customers once they have gone through your course? What is the end result for your customers for your course to have been successful for them? Second question, quantify and qualify how you will determine if this course is successful for you. And thirdly, draw your customer avatar. Go and do it now. There's just one more quick tip I want to give you. Every night while I'm sleeping, I start to think of new information or, oh, I could have put that there or that there. You know what I'm talking about. Just keep a little notebook or paper next to your bed with a pen so that when you wake up in the morning or the middle of the night, you can jot down that thought and go straight back to sleep. Else you're going to have it on your mind the whole time, and when you wake up, you will never remember it.